You want people, we're believers, hallelujah to you. Well, this is not the place for that.
Right.
We tell you bring pens and papers because we mean it.
Islam.
Because we want you to challenge what we present to you.
That's right.
We want you to do research because it will strengthen you. Prove us wrong and learn what is right.
Islam.
You notice they never say we're lying? And Robert didn't say that. Here's what we're talking about this stuff. Who gave him authority to teach the truth?
That's the question.
He ain't with us. You damn right I ain't with them.
Yeah, a lot of them, and they keep on selling.
You know, the criticism make me know I'm doing something right.
Islam.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
That's right.
Because they can't buy me, and I don't need no damn titles.
Islam.
So.
You speak truth, brother, and that's why I'm here.
You know,
That's why I'm here. Because many people try to give us package, try to sell us stuff and sell us stuff. And
it can't be bought.
it can't be bought.
Birthright.
You know, it can't be bought.
It can't be bought.
And, you know, so that's why I'm here.
Juali told us in the divine warning to help in this great missionary work. We tell you what this missionary work is. To bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government. If that's not a directive, nothing is. And if anybody claims to be sheik or grand sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Temple of Science, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Old Canine Temple, Moorish Divine National Movement, and don't seek to enforce that constitution, they're telling you that they're COINTELPRO. They're telling you by their actions.
That's right.
That's right.
Because that's the heart of the Moorish movement. Period. This is why, again, you know, when we did the Al Moroccan Star newspaper, one of the first things we did was publish that letter that I got from Grand Sheikh Hamadil in Newark, New Jersey, from the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. He was the last prophet that walked, he was the last Grand Sheikh that walked with the prophet. And I went there one time, he gave me Constitution, divine Constitution, in the frame, on the wall. Gave me his Quran. I was desk, he called me in the back. We went to a ball up there, was going in. And first time I met him, last time I met him. And he gave me papers with the Moorish Divine National Movement, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and the Moorish Science Temple of America bylaws together. I have not seen them since, except what Grand Sheikh Hamadil gave me. And what I've seen and seen since in traveling, these people that I expected to be happy, you know, they don't like people that have knowledge. This is what I'm learning. They want dummies.
Yes.
That, oh, please tell me about the Lord. How many times you told me that he loves me? Jesus loves you. Man, say that again. I'll be back tomorrow, hear it again. I'm not convinced. You know, we're full of it. I'm not having it, and I'm not going to have them putting it on these babies. I don't care whether they got a garb on, fez on, robe. All of them can go in the fire together as far as I'm concerned. Because they're all partners. And I'm going to do everything that I can to liberate anybody that I walk into. And I'll spend my last breath digging and digging and digging. And I got a couple more shovels. And I'm going to dig some more. And they can throw the dirt back. And I'm going to dig some more. Because you ain't coming here without leaving with a liberated mind.
All right.
Let's continue. Anyway, Horace Greeley wisely and with cunning used the opportunities afforded him by the political jurisdiction styled as the United States of America, and by his powerfully influential newspaper franchise. He made, formed, and invoked his legacy and impacting social mark as noted by most erudite scholars of note who became the mitigators of North American history. Whether or not Greeley foresaw the impacting outcomes of his social contributions among the Whigs, or whether he consciously planned them that way, may be contemplated, analyzed, or discussed by historians, but may also be left to innuendo and conjecture. Nonetheless, Horace Greeley, the man, the intellectual, the philosopher, the political activist, the mover, and the Shaker, the Whig worked his way to the forefront of the Whigs Party. He has definitely left his mark in and upon American Almanac history. Greeley is not and should not be viewed as merely the not so obscure and yet powerful newspaper tycoon. It must be substantially noted that Horace Greeley has truly and actually had more long-lasting,
And influence.
yes, more long-lasting and influential impact on the contemporary policies established for operative politics upon America, the land, than many would ever casually attribute to him. Keep that in mind. So when I ask you all, are you familiar with Horace Greeley? Understand that much of his work has much to do with the politics that you suffer today, including the control of the mainstream media, the enforcement of the Negro, Black, and colored code systems that you suffer from, the establishment of Europeans starting to call themselves white people and calling you black, and you starting to believe it, which gives up your birthright. Are we clear?
Clear.
Including the operations that you see today under the CIA, which is really a branch of the Vatican. And having you think that it's a branch of the United States government, it's a branch of the Vatican. And the Vatican owns the United States Service Corporation.
That's right.
That's been faked as the country. So a lot of your misconceptions and a lot of your economic and political abuses, there you go. And then you all don't know Horace Greeley. Guess what? Every European does. So when they look at you like you're out to daggone lunch with disrespect, it's because they know more about your history than you know. When we always sit around talking about Jesus and God and Allah, don't even know our own bloodline. Meanwhile, we've got 59 organizations marching and praying all the damn time for freedom and liberation, don't even know what the words mean. We're full of it. And we do everything but address the actual issues.
Islam.
Trying to feel good. We call it spirituality because we jumped up 2 times and our hearts start beating. We're full of it. Anyway, I want to get past this. I want to get to some other points on this because I want you to understand some things. Now, on the 4th day of December of 1839, the Whigs, that's the Whigs Party, held their national convention for selecting their candidate for president. That convention was held at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and was about a year before the general election. The leading candidates were William Henry Harrison, who was a war hero and also the most powerful, most successful of the opponents of Van Buren in the election of 1836. He had been campaigning for the Whig nomination since that time. Another candidate was General Winfield Scott, who was a war hero at the War of 1812. You need to know about that War of 1812, the last of the Moorish ships on the Great Lakes. That was your ships. War of 1812 was against you. That was your last ship. They wasn't bringing sardine people here. There's the Moorish Navy. Marines. That's where you get Marines from.
If I'm not mistaken, that war was actually placed upon the Maryland license plate as well, War of 1812.
Of course. Why do you think? Why do you think? Because marriage land and land of virgins, they take a little piece of it and call it Alexandria.
That's right.
For Alexander the Great. Conquering the Moors. Y'all ain't caught on yet? They tell you in the architecture, they tell you in the history, they tell you in the streets. And our people up in all in mystery land.
One of these days I'm gonna see Jesus. I'm gonna call him on his iPhone 10. Last time was the iPhone 9, but it says I spiritually ascended.
We are full of it. And we need to stop our bullshit. points of facts.
Republican Party founder.
Horace Greeley was the founder of the Republican Party.
Yes, sir.
So our people have been voting and not voting and everything else, right?
Right.
And they don't know about these parties they've been voting not for or for.
Right.
You know how many people around the world who come from other countries laughing at these people and
Talking like we're people of color. See, what we did, we saw 2 pyramids and said, and see, so the great God of the ancient Cometians and stuff.
they don't even know basic politics today.
Islam.
Do you understand what I'm saying? They want to talk about the kings and queens of Egypt, from which this government is a descendant.
Yes.
They don't even know these people that are movers and shakers that's screwing your families today.
Islam.
We talk about,
See, King Tut, see, it was really gold. It was about 18 gauge gold upon his casket and shit.
I'm being sick of this nigger stuff.
Islam.
We're gonna call down, they wanna call the elders, they don't know who the elders are. And I suggest they need to stop calling because they don't want to see them. You know what they say?
I want to see Jesus message.
No, they don't. We don't call on Jesus. I suggest you don't do that.
That's justice.
Because he's going to just come and bless us and shit.
No, it's not. They think I'm talking shit. You wait till they see that sword that's got 2 edges that's going to start moving nigger heads. They want to see Jesus, they're getting ready to meet justice.
Islam.
And we're warning them, we've been warning them for quite a while. They want to be black. They ain't got much more time till all their wishes and dreams will be met honorably. And the earth will start to be cleansed of those who are defiling it. I guarantee you that. And you ain't gonna have to wait till no next generation to figure out what Taj God just said, because they're getting ready to see the stuff in the next 2 months. Guarantee you that.
They had
Oh, here you go, Mike. Here you go. Here you go.
Yes, son.
Thank you.
There is a book called Blue Blood, True Blood, where they tell you about everything that it says. You know, this is what everything that is planned, and they speak about it in that book, Blue Blood, which the global
Okay.
no, the global. Yeah, they speak about the agenda, the global agenda also.
King Alfred Bryan?
Yeah, which is
The plan is in effect, but that's unum sanctum. So no matter what the name is,
Yeah.
it's unum sanctum. You know, just like the Homeland Security, unum sanctum. IRS, unum sanctum. Negro Act, unum sanctum. That's why they're trying to get, you know, why they're really working hard to get the guns from these people.
So they
the
can't
global.
exist.
You know why they're shooting up in these schools and stuff like that? They want to get the guns? So they'll have no resistance because they're going to come in here with trash trucks and they're going to move these people out of these corners, literally throw them in trash trucks. And all of these new trash burning places, facilities, they have high technology, they burn bone. So they don't have to worry about vaporization. That's what that's serious.
They show you that in
Telling you what's going to be happening. It's just that these people right now, they're sticking a plastic card in and they're still working. They're distracted. You know what I'm saying? Putting in the ATM stuff. Pretty soon the machine gonna go. Cards ain't coming out. And when it really hits the fan, as soon as these people start doing their Negro marches on the street, I guarantee you there will be no more Watts like they did in California and stuff. They're going to use energy weapons on them. Yes, they are. They're going to use microwave on them. And those who walk away will just get cancer later. But they're not, the nigger shit, Ain't happening no more.
They show you.
You gonna work to fix this stuff honorably and honestly, or they're not going to be here. Meanwhile, we gotta deal with Rome too. So we're gonna have some ancient Chinese is gonna have to start dealing with them. But this problem's gonna be solved once and for all, because the earth is tired of us. You understand? What they're trying to do is let a few others in here who've been competing for the planet, which is also being blocked. You need to understand this stuff is bigger than you think it is. So those who are going to be here better be worthy of standing on this planet. Because if we can't solve it, they got a cure for it. And the cure is disappear. Go ahead, brother.
Going back to the license plates, just a quick thought. Is that why the DC license plates have those 3 lines? Just to...
The 3 stars, that's Rome. Let's talk, that's Rome. Like Washington, and remember we talked Maryland and Virginia, and then with their district, that's why they call it district, that's for the Roman goddess Columbia.
Just like the Vatican.
Roman goddess.
Let me check this out.
And that's what you'll see.
London enough,
Now it'll be the district. And you can consider Westminster, right? That's what's running the world. Upper world, underworld. Now you understand why they murdered Toussaint? When he was setting up the republic on the islands? Yes, you got that right. Well, it's not that.
Repeat it,
The deal
microphone.
with this, the people today don't know that this is part of the empire. They think they're different people. Our concepts about ourselves are it's totally incorrect. No different than when we leave here and go to Philadelphia. It's no different than when we leave here and go to Jamaica, Borican, Dominica, Brazil. Those are the United States of America.
That's right.
That's a political metaphor, not a country. Estados Unidos de Mexico. That's the United States of America. What point y'all don't get this? The problem is that you're at the core of it. You're the core. And the least knowledgeable. That's the danger for you. If it wasn't for the fact that you were the firstborn, you would have been eliminated. And that's the truth. If it were not for the fact that you are the descendants of the firstborn, you would have been eliminated. Because you're just that problematic. You understand? However, it's true.
Yeah. Proud of
I'm
that.
being honest.
That's right.
It's true. Problem is, how many of you ever been to that Masonic Lodge in North Broad Street? I ain't seen many hands again. I think they got their hands and stuff. And you see George Washington closing the lodge like this. Whoa. You know why he closed the lodge like that?
Because it's going nuts on the Moors.
They thought Hiram was dead, and they buried him.
Shallow grave.
It was a shallow grave. Point is, cut to the chase. The reason why they didn't kill you off is because they discovered they had substitute passwords, and they didn't have all the keys. But they can't take it from you because it's in your DNA. And if it wasn't for that, they'd have iced you. That's why you're breathing right now. We're going to pull that DNA out though. That's the truth. Horace Greeley initiated an investigation of the United States Congress, of which he was a participant. He was an active member of the House of Representatives for 3 months. However, his unrelenting candor, uncompromised outspokenness, and generally principled character made him less than popular with many of his colleagues. 3. Horace Greeley gave strong and affirmative support to Abraham Lincoln's candidacy for the President of the United States. 4. Horace Greeley urged President Abraham Lincoln to end slavery. That passionately suggested pressure came from Greeley even before Lincoln himself demonstrated evident in showing a willingness to act upon that institutionalized and banal form of human trafficking, peonage, and social corruption.
Goodness gracious.
Horace Greeley was one of the most prominent active political figures among the European sons at North America. Excuse me. He strongly promoted the adopted practice among the sons and daughters of European descent to take for themselves the social status title of white people. Thus, Greeley was a key promulgator of prompting the practice of Europeans arbitrarily taking on and trading the free white person's social status with the politically and economically weakened noble Moors. They traded places.
That's us.
Everybody knows but us. So when your so-called black and Negro leaders of color keep talking about
We're people of color and stuff. And people of darkness, of the blackness of the universe, of the Kabbalisticness of the carbon.
and then Europeans, and then the next day you marching and praying, talking about, you don't treat us right and stuff. That's why he be saying, why don't y'all leave us the hell alone, go back to your nigger leaders that keep selling you back into slavery. That's what he's talking about. Because everybody know that they ain't white people, that you was the white people. It's a legal status, and you turn around and call yourself black people because of your nigger leaders agreeing to the black codes. Then when they enforce it, you want to cry the blues. When you agree to it. It's called a contract. You don't make a pact with the devil and he don't come for a piece of meat, because he do.
Islam.
Tough cookies. Your nigger leaders is your problem. Islam.
Islam. I was looking at an interview of some brothers from the continent of Africa, and they were asked about the slave experience and slavery and people being kidnapped from Africa and brought to America. When did they know? Did they know about that? They said that they had never. That was never talked about in their culture, and
Because it's a lie.
yeah, they heard it when they got here.
Yeah.
That's when they found out that
It's a lie.
I know, but it was interesting to have that. That's not what they're.
Confirm it.
Yeah, that's not the history that they even think about in terms.
It's called the period of Reconstruction. They reconstructed history. You know, you deal with any anthropologist around the world, from Russia to China to South America, and they will tell you that the people of Asiatic African descent that are called Negro, Blacks, and Colors, and Latinos, etc., were here 98%. If there is 0.99% of 1% that came from someplace else on slave ships, it's probably an overstatement. These people are Aboriginal and bound to this land by inheritance and by birthright. And all this other crap is BS. This is why they don't need. Go anywhere. Look, let's look at the problems that we have right now. With the problems we have in these communities, wouldn't these people be deported with all this bull that they create?
Exactly.
Huh?
They can't be
How come
deported.
they're not deported?
They're
Microphone.
home already.
Because they're home, Dorothy. You just got bumped. You bumped your head.
Taj,
Good.
I just wanted to point out something I know commonly read. This is not the favorite dictionary, but 1828 Noah Webster when it talks about American. And we talk about American, the noun and native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or the copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. But it continues to say, but now apply to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
So
The
what-
traded places and the definition of American.
Come over here just a minute. Come over here just a minute. I want you to come on. Please, just a minute. Do your moonwalk.
Oh, come on.
Can you say that again?
Noah Webster. Noah Webster, 1828, Noah Webster. A dictionary that's 200 years old. So part of speech first, American. American is a noun. A native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or the copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. But it continues. It then says, but now applied to the descendants of Europe born in America.
All right, now,
And this
give me
is
this mic for a minute. Hold this for a minute. Give me your hand, right there. See this copper coin?
Come on with it.
This is how you tell who the Americans are. Very simple.
That would be me.
You gotta focus on it, don't you?
I gotta get it up there.
There.
There you go.
There you go. That's your Americans. And the rest of they told you is bullshit reconstruction.
That's right.
That's what you call reconstruction. But now means, it's called connotative.
That's construction.
So Europe
is original.
is North America, they Europe. You ever seen a map, Mama? You ever seen a map in school?
Here, give it to Mike. Here you go, bro. Oh no.
All right. Is Europe America? Is Europe America?
No.
All right, we're gonna make sure that's fixed, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Now, all right. So this chair here, this chair is sitting here, right? And this chair is sitting here. And if I was sitting in this chair, am I sitting in that chair? So I'm sitting in this chair, right? So Europe is, like Drew Ali says, Europe is over 3,000 miles away. Europeans gonna take on a lot of water.
That's
They
right.
ain't American.
They're not American. No
Stop
way.
calling them that. It's the same problem we had, which is why we're giving you the lesson on Horace Greeley.
You're the American.
You're the
Moorish
American,
American.
and you must be yourself.
That's right.
He's claiming his power because we keep giving it to him. Every word that proceeds out your mouth is a spell cast or prayer. It can be P-R-A-Y or P-R-E-Y,
Yeah.
based on whether you're negative or positive. So when you open your mouth, you better know what you're talking about.
That's right.
Because nature doesn't recognize personal station. You keep casting these nigger black spells and you keep getting the results of them. So don't get mad. European's a vulture. He's an opportunist. You know, you lay down on the desert because you want a suntan, and you know you need one. And after a while, the vultures start flying around trying to see. Because you look like, you know, bologna sandwich or something. And after a while, they're going to come down and test you.
That's right.
You know, we talking about leave me alone, because a lot of them come, you ain't getting up. Same thing with Europeans. Y'all want to be black? Y'all want to follow after Rome? Guess what? Rome say, I'm making the rules. You want to buy and sell the mark and the number of his name? He said, you ain't buying nothing in his name that he don't own. So the state owns everything that so-called black people have. They're called wards of the state. Even your children in the womb, when you went to him to get a marriage certificate,
Yeah.
so you want to buy and sell something that's divine? Guess what? All the eggs belong to the Pope. So they kick doors in, what they call DHS and all this other stuff, homeland, whatever. Well, guess what? The marriage certificates are bank bonds. Ain't got daggone thing to do. Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, the grand ancient mothers and fathers, the BS, they're bank bonds. Birth certificates, they're bank bonds.
So
Your
security.
driver's license, bank bond against your estate. So you better grow up, stop wasting your time with belief systems, and start dealing with knowledge. And start countering Rome, and start rejecting Rome. Reject Rome. Well, he got your gun. Reject him.
Islam.
I'm gonna get your job. Reject him. You owe me $2.50 this time. Reject him. Bungus in the house, y'all. Keep making sure, she hook us up, boy, I'm telling you. Thank you. Stand for a second. Give her a hand, y'all. Now, understand this, that everybody, and the other reason I wanted to go into this, now the core of the lesson, even though it's available to anyone that has a serious library and do some deep research, a short synopsis is given on Horace Greeley, through the order of the Great Seal. And of those of you who are members of the Great Seal who've written for the certificates in Washington, D.C., for the most part, they try to keep this information from people. And those of you who've been around Roundtable, and because basically their position is that if you don't have the certificates, you're not supposed to have this information. My position is being a member of the Order of the Great Seal, and I've watched and I've traveled this country and I've talked to people outside this country and I see the constant problems that we have. And my issue is, whatever I have to do to try to get this information to the people, I'm not letting nothing block it.
Islam.
Because if they give it to me, I'm taking the refrigerator door off. So don't tell me nothing.
All right.
I mean, I'm talking about personal stuff. I'm talking about, as far as how things really work.
Right.
I'm taking the doors off, You ain't gonna talk about one of these days. Now, hopefully, this is what I comprehend and I understand. There is, in reality, none of this that you don't know. The deal of it is that you've buried yourself with belief systems. You buried yourself. And so you're responsible to this. So don't think that I take the position that because we share and some of you don't raise your hand, that it's my stuff or somebody like me and it ain't yours. This is your stuff.
All right.
Yes.
This is your stuff. Every man, every woman, baby, and every child
That's
must
right.
confess their own.
That's right.
Yes.
Keep that in mind, mama.
That's right.
Because this is what it means. When these people start making excuses, I suggest, because they've been calling, because this is really what's happening. They've been calling on Jesus for some time, which is a password. There's nothing wrong with it, password. However, they've invoked the energies.
Yep.
And he, quote, they are coming. However, it's not what these people expect. They are cleansers. Jesus is a cleanser. Jesus means justice. And the defiling of the planet is on its way to another vibratory state where all the priesthood of the Piscean age have no shadow to hide. Which is why I wanted to read the Book of the East. I'm going to print some out, and next time y'all come, I'm going to give you a copy, take it home. and read it every other day. Purge yourselves. You need it.
Islam.
You need it. You need it. Don't take my word for it, just do it. Because this is what you have to do it. It will not be done for you.
Yeah.
You must do it. The trinity of demons that have been operating on Gaia for these last few hundred years take their tradition from an ancient operation platform, this old operation platform, however the earth must be purged. This is the purging. And this is, as you see in your Circle 7 Quran, this is the uniting of Asia.
And see, that's okay. I have a comment.
I was gonna say that. You just spelled the words and stuff.
Go ahead.
Alrighty.
Don't rap now. Just
I won't.
Notice how he holding it like this.
Mic check. Oh no, I'm kidding.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, and I shared this with Mother Delilah yesterday as well.
Go ahead.
Speaking with a more near the Massachusetts Republic, Brother Yusuf,
Yeah.
Tabiel, and the word unity that came up.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And he says, hey, Moore, you ever looked up unity in Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition? And I said, yeah, let me go double check it. And the first 5 words after it let me immediately know that Negro, Black, colored people can't talk unity.
No, never can.
Because
Never will.
it says in the law of the states, before it even gives you the definition for unity.
In the law of the states.
So if you're Negro, Black, colored, it's just a really cool Queen Latifah record.
No, what it
But if
is.
you're national, it's...
No.
Okay.
So it's no confusion.
It's not.
Teach.
Stateless persons. So stateless persons can't be state persons.
Islam.
Therefore, they can't talk unity.
Islam.
Unity is not acknowledged amongst them. In law, they're expendable,
Islam.
which is what we're trying to stop.
Islam.
We're trying to save them. They're clawing to stay in the mud. It's like throwing somebody a life raft that can't swim. And you throw them a life raft, you know, you going down the street and everything, you see somebody choking with backstroking. The river was a little wider than they thought it was. So you feel sorry for them, you throw a life raft in, throw a rope and stuff like that. Yeah, grab it. Just, oh, thank you, Jesus, and the Son. And then they stop. I know you didn't give me no plaid life raft.
Islam.
I believe it. And that's pretty much what our people are to truth. They're always asking to be saved. They're always asking, how come somebody don't tell us the truth? How come everybody else doing good? Because as soon as they tell them the truth, they run or start debating about what their beliefs are. That never worked.
And they attack the truth teller, too.
Which is why they're catching hell.
They attack the truth
But they won't render unto Caesar what is Caesar.
Yeah.
It's sickening. But the deal is give the children a chance. Give the babies a chance. Now the anti-slavery Whigs, the split or schism that developed within the Whigs party became so strong as to cause them to become almost separate. These factions became known as the Conscience Whigs on the one side and the Cotton Whigs on the other. The Conscience Whigs were known to be those European sons, daughters, and associate supporters among the Whigs who were in staunch opposition to slavery, imposed peonage, and human trafficking. Other sympathizers supporting liberties should also be taken in consideration. The Conscience Whigs were also generally active in organizations formed against the inherent escheatage, vassalage, and the peonage characteristics attributed to such human trafficking activities. The Cotton Whigs, pro-slavery Whigs, the more inhumane side of the Whigs party was known as the Cotton Whigs, and consisted of those members of the Whigs party who were supportive of and politically promoting slavery, human trafficking, and peonage. Therefore, in your continued erudition on expanded studies about the Whiggamore Party, the Whigs, and the related and associated subjects, take some time to review these issues and to note the contradictions as evidence within the party. Nevertheless, all neophytes, scholars, and adepts must cognate that whenever one is reflecting upon the social and political motives of the European sons and daughters doing business at or administrating government at the North Gate and across the planet, one must also strongly consider and be cognizant of King Hammurabi Bey's code of law. Why? Because all Europeans know that they are hybrids and are also cognizant of the codes. These are facts even if they do not speak of them openly. These ancient codes, quote unquote, are a primal point of social and political reference and are known and studied by those who study jurisprudence and by those who by operative government legislate the rules of law on the planet Earth, even in these days. While not often spoken about publicly or openly, Hammurabi's codes above all, were and are of absolute influence. This immovable fact is mentally, politically, and analytically placed and fixed into the time period social context. One must observe the subtle pressures of the codes, quote unquote, in the thought processes of the Whigs, and use one's knowledge about the codes as a social political backdrop. One is deemed, though with hesitance, to relate to the not so subtle yet established residual effects of the harsh parts of the codes as related to the declaration of the children of Israel to slavery under the Moorish nation. And with reason and with discipline, view these histories with objective analysis, knowing of the suppressed nature of surrounding the same. Also note that many of the Southern members of the Whiggamore Party had sided with the Unionists in the conflict and in matters involving secession of the Southern states from the Union. Other related activities and issues also broadened the breaches manifesting within the party during 1850. The controversial, foul, and corrupt conditions and pressing questions caused by and involved with slavery and with its social, economic, and political effects caused and exacerbated a split within the Whigs Party. Most influential in that split or schism which marked the party was the heated arguments, hostilities, and destructive activities which took place in multiple places of the territories at North America. Now, pay attention to this because we'll do some research too on this, y'all. The Kansas-Nebraska Act. One is reminded to expand one's studies on the nature of the controversy surrounding that subject and of the associated affairs conjoined to them. Therefore, research what is called the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Out from that heated and terse philosophical and political split came the creation of not only the noted schism within the Whigs Party, but also the development and formation of another party. The party that evolved from that political disjointment and disharmony is known as the Republican Party.
There you go.
I won't go into this. I'll just note this, and this is back to even when Drawley said for you to go back to the state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers, and he talked about enforcing the Constitution, because he know that when you do this, you find this history, and then that's why he said your nationality card will change in your pocket.
That's right.
It means that your consciousness will change.
That's right.
And he said, I want active Moors, not passive Moors. Why? They're the ones that have a tendency to become the traitors and the conversos, which is why you're catching hell today. Because most of them has been running the temples and your other nigger organizations, keeping the black codes alive and then marching all over the place complaining about it. Hypocrisy to its utmost. Anyway. Now the Act of 1871, the ens legis supporting the coup d'etat of 1861. In civil law, an act is a manifest in writing which states in a legal form that a thing has been said, that a thing has been done, or that a thing has been agreed to. An act of Congress is a piece of legislation that is formally passed by the lawful and de jure members of that body politic who are constitutionally delegated the limited powers by the people via the Constitution to legislate for the state/nation. Those said legislating powers are fundamental to the two houses of the Congress and are defined via Article 1 of the American Constitution. The designated limitations structured within the properly administered constitutional government are set forth at Article 4, Section 4, Republic. A seriously impacting and important political aspect about the underlying and deviant social political engineering at North America Almanac was the clever and targeted undermining of the following three primal documents that rest at the foundation of governance for the United States Republic. These founding documents consist of Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1787, amended 1836, 2, the Ordinance of 1787, 3, the Constitution for the United States of America, 1788, 1789. So when you're looking at this and you talk about constitutional enforcement, look at them documents together as one piece. Failure to do so indicates you not only don't know history, but you're incompetent, unqualified, hypocrite, or converso, which is why you're in trouble now, which is why they're stealing your lands, your property, and your houses today under its cheat policies because you did not enforce that Constitution. So
Islam.
let's not talk about no colors, and let's not talk about no racism. Let's talk about you not carrying out what the prophet told you to carry out.
Now that'd be the same as the Northwest Corner.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And where do you always say, what is North America? Northwest Amexem. It's the Northwest Ordinance.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. He gave you keys, but he said the half has not been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep. Why? Because if you didn't study, you go to sleep because you be passive, thinking that you was told the truth. Then have these people turn and fest them out. Allah loves you. Give me 2 more peanut butter sandwiches. And you're doing this to yourself and your children. Meanwhile, step by step, the Europeans are encroaching on all your rights, taking all your properties, gentrifying your community, stealing your lands, your inheritances, everything. And we sit around playing games on belief systems that don't damn work. Yeah, that's right. Too punked out. They ain't punked out to go to wars in other people's countries, but they're punked out to stand for truth here. They're full of crap. And so are them nigger leaders that keep on misleading them, that they keep paying. So, we're going to read 3 white persons that will answer some questions because of time period. Proper person, 3 white persons, and you already understood, as you can see, with the Whiggamore Party in 1854, the Europeans start calling themselves officially white people. And what do these so-called paid-off nigger black scholars keep doing? Talking about, in ancient Africa, the white man came over there and stuff. There ain't no such thing. They line their keisters off. He wasn't even officially called white people till 54. 18. Yeah, please. But they're going to tell you about the ancient gods of Egypt. They're full of crap. Proper person perspectives and heritability concepts are a must amongst the unconscious Moors of the North Gate. A grand unveiling is needed about that grand portion of history and philosophy which is less disclosed, and is always in order. Critical thinking is a philology standard. Write that down, y'all. Critical thinking is a philology standard. That's why when you come here to the house of reawakening mind, you tell you take pens and papers, because we ain't got time to babysit you. All right? Are we clear?
Clear.
And is not considered an occasionally acceptable or temporarily adopted intellectual option. A disciplined woman or man standing on the square is encouraged and commanded accordingly. This character-building consciousness is expected of those who know the truth of history, as revealed to members of any Moorish Science Privy Council. Read that again with me, you all. Any disciplined man or woman or man standing on the square is encouraged and commanded accordingly. This character-building consciousness is expected of those who know the truth of history, as revealed to members of any Moorish Science Privy Council of adepts. The same erudite standards hold true for those privy adepts and for the honored members, quote unquote, of the various initiated brethren and matrons among the erudite, scholars, masters, plenipotentiaries, and other members of the elite and their higher schools of learning. High philology standards are demanded of members of these, of all other Gnostic orders, and among the adepts of all well-established secret societies operating at North America, the North Gate, and around the world.
I'm in a row.
All clear?
Clear.
And when you come to the house of Reawaken the Mind, we didn't come here to babysit you. We didn't come here to make believers out of you. We came to wash you of that belief be shit speech, dwarf. And to deal with knowledge. Don't come here looking for beliefs because you're not going to get it. You're in the wrong place. Are we clear? You don't go to McDonald's for caviar. Don't expect it. All right? Now another reason why I wanted to share this with you, and y'all can, go over this in detail on your flash drives. Those who don't have it, Dr. Naila has them for you from the House of Reawakening Minds, and this is amongst other information. And plus, Hassan added tons of more stuff to keep you busy another 15 years. So you got 25 years study on there easily. So there's no reason, even though we're going to work together, we always do because we need to inspire each other.
That's right.
You got enough stuff on that flash drive to make anybody a scholar.
Islam.
You understand?
Islam.
Let's get some work done, y'all.
All right.
Let's liberate ourselves and liberate the children.
Yeah.
Mainly by not agreeing to Rome. Period. All right? So, select definition, and you'll see the European sons and daughters, and keep in mind, note, when did Ulysses S. Grant change and adopt the Naturalization Act? What year?
71.
What year?
1871. Uh-oh, 71? 1871.
18, there's right there for you.
7. That memory failed.
So we're going to Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary of Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence. That means it's ancient jurisprudence and it's modern jurisprudence, which means the law didn't change. Are we clear?
All right.
Free white persons. Free white persons as referred to in the Naturalization Act and as amended by the Act July 14th of 1870 has meaning naturally given to it when it was first used in Statute 103C3. Meaning all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white. And this is where you see that connotation which they added in the Webster's Dictionary.
Right.
Now it means white
That's
European.
right.
Yeah, it don't mean it.
That's right.
No.
That's right.
Counted as white and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. Free white persons includes all European Jews more or less intermixed with people of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. Free white persons, quote unquote, includes Magyars, Lapps, Finns, and the Basques, and Albanians. Free white persons includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, and the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tatar inhabitants of South Russia. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. Read it again, y'all. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. Read it again, y'all. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. So you see what your nigger leaders been doing to you? They've been putting you under the black codes and then feeding off of you with little nigger organizations funded by the corporations for tax exempt status to keep the nigger stuff going so they can, keep poisoning the well so they can get a job of so-called selling you filters.
That's right.
That's exactly what they've been doing.
Connotative linguistics.
While all of them is Masons and got a Moorish fast.
Islam.
And that includes Jesse, Martin, Abernathy, all of them are Masons. 32 degrees got a Moorish fest, 33 degrees. Pretending they don't know these people more, and got all these black Negro organizations. While in secret they got comfortable jobs, Rome is paying them, and these people is paying them in the name of Jesus. They get it from both ends. Knowing that these people are bound to this continent by heritage and by birthright.
Wow.
Always did know it. So free white persons includes all European Jews, more or less, and intermixed with people of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. Free white persons includes Magyars, Lapps, Finns, and the Basque and Albanians. Free white persons includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, and the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. Free white person does not mean Caucasian race. Free white persons does not mean Aryan race, or Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, and Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia. A Syrian of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled, quote unquote, to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person. Ex parte, and to give you law cases. So as you can see, everybody knows that it's a legal status.
You need Moorish blood to be a free white person?
Oh, I'm clear.
Clear.
So what they do, modify the books with reconstructed history to include themselves in the status that don't apply to them. Go ahead.
They gave up something too. It says in Portugal.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if one was to just simply Google Portugal right now, it'll say it was established in 1910, and this document refutes that. Just this definition.
Of course.
So then it would lead one to go and look to see what Portugal was then. Islam.
Exactly. And this is why, like anybody look at Sabir Bey's snippets that he shares history, he gives you tons and tons of books on Spain to give you the history that all your so-called scholars know that they've been hiding from you. They hide your history by calling you Spanish.
Islam.
You see, Spanish is Moorish history.
That's right.
You understand? You know, because what's been happening is that all the Negro black organization trolls been jumping on us trying to act like we made this stuff up.
See, that's that Taji stuff. He making that stuff up at the round table and sandwiches and stuff. But the prophet didn't say that.
And all that kind of stuff. The prophet said, your half has not been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep. But I was doing this work before I was nationalized. So my mother bought me for the so tough cookies. I don't need them.
Islam.
You understand what I'm saying to you? I can make my own sandwiches. And that's the truth. The deal of it is, you know, I work with anybody that wants to liberate.
That's right.
You know, but when they try to take that upper hand on me, hey, because I don't need them. I can cook, I can sew, I can build.
That's right, that's right.
And I can skate. Sometimes. But now sigil for the Vatican, London, and the United States Corporation. The more learned among the people and those exposed to true history via Privy Council organizations are well aware of the social, political, linguistic, and status-oriented facts that the legal phrase free white persons is social status construct and
nothing to do with race.
Yes, it has nothing to do with race. Nor does the phrase free white persons have anything to do with skin complexion. The commonly practiced color code phenotype system established for social engineering at North America must be noted, referred to and designated toward its true origins. Think about and reflect upon the works of Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, the German naturalist, philologist, physiologist, and anthropologist, also referred to Blumenbach's theory and application of the unity of the human race and of the dividing of the race into the 5 types. His theory holds that the human race is comprised of Caucasian, Mongolian, Malay, American, and Ethiopian. This is the source of Blumenbach's politically engineered social and phenotype control mechanisms. This construct has more to do with political engineering supports than to the actual and factual true explanations expressive of the genetic truths concerning the human family. Thus, the color code paradigm used by Europeans at North America and exported around the world was and is a major contemporary source of the present and contemporary race misrepresentations of the human species, and was deemed for colonial political purposes. Herein lays much of the contrived and resulting ignorance attributed to the human race, inclusive of the negative interplays conjoined it. Now, the facts remain that such misrepresentations have been and are promoted at North America for administrating and regulating European colonial servitude purposes. Blumenbach's contrived anthropological paradigm is falsely assumed to be a natural measure for the determining of identity reality source for the human family. This type of misjudgment is usually held as valid only by those among the controlled Asiatic peoples who have been designated as quote-unquote colored via the Christian black codes and the related controlling social mechanisms. This designated vassalage class of people unfortunately includes the miseducated and tagged people among the so-called blacks, coloreds, and Negroes held under the subjugated slave caste administered by the human trafficking operatives within and under the Franciscan priesthoods dogma corporations. Write that down, Franciscan priesthoods dogma corporations. And understand that all your corporate entities, the owners are members of the Roman Curia. So don't forget that. The major thing we must forget or not forget is stop thinking that because these people don't discuss these things that they're not well aware of these. They are groomed well into all of this knowledge, which is the secret of their power base. Amen. The secret of their power base, are we clear? But the major thing, I think a lot of times our people are intimidated by knowledge that they haven't been exposed to because they keep thinking that other people didn't know this.
Right.
Just because they don't discuss it.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody been looking at you with them railroad tracks on your drawers, and they're not impressed. You know, so don't think that you're in the bathroom, private, singing in the shower. And this because it's the truth. And we need to grow up, and we need to be honorable. And just because so many of us have pumped out, because that's what they have done, pumped out, you know, they're willing to fake that they, you know, they're busy worshiping the Lord so they don't want to deal with this kind of stuff. And then sacrifice their babies so they can blame it on the devil. They ain't getting that off no more. They're not getting that off anymore. And here it is, again. Also, see the Vatican, Rome A, B, London, England, and we're talking about Westminster, all right, in the district. United States Corporation Company operating at North America. And these are all the properties of the Vatican, and the United States Corporation Company is undeniably a crown property entity. These foresaid established Roman red man social orders are symbolized by a graphic image displaying two horizontal bars or lines, one over the other, with a third layer consisting of 3 stars as shown. And so you'll see that George Washington also used that in the family crest. And the George Washington is the praetor who converted the Moorish bondavilles and the Moorish estates into what you know now as the states.
And the crown,
which are all contemporary Vatican-oriented paradigms, false reconstructed history. Are we clear?
Clear.
So you home, Dorothy, get it through your head, drink some water, wake up, we'll take a cold shower, and let's get to work. Any other questions?
Up front.
And the crown is not the Queen of England.
No, let's talk about this too. I gave you all this too. This is on your flash drive.
That's right.
This is on your flash drive.
Good study, that is.
This one.
Go ahead. You ready?
I haven't been able to confirm it yet, but George Washington, did he change his name to Washington because of the Washita area?
No, because basically Washita is us in the South. Mainly when they did the Trail of Tears, and that will include most of the Moorish of the Powhatani Confederation, some Anahansi, but most of us, the Anahansi was in the north. But most of from the Powhatani or Powhatani Confederation collectively are referred to as Washita, which essentially means ancient ones. You know, so it's really a conglomeration of different tribes, not so much one section as they try to present it. So when you talk about Washita, you can look at all this. You understand?
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Here we go. Now look at this. Now, this is real quick. And this is why I think I shared with you all the papers when they were hanging Matuaka's picture in oil painting in the Senate floor. And Matuaka, and when they read one of the poems in her honor, as you can see that she was Muslim. But they tell people that she was an Indian, you know, dancing around with loincloth and stuff like that. Also, she was a potentess.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And one of the reasons why Ralph had married her, and you know, the crown, they had two competing words, John Smith, that they'll write about in the history books. But the deal of it is because they knew that the women controlled the estates. You know what I mean? And the deal of it is if they could get her, because she was young too. If they could get her, they could get a foothold here, which is where you get Jamestown, Virginia. And this is why the sellout Moors put so much emphasis on the King James version of the Bible. You know, all of this stuff is tied together. Don't ever think that it ain't. You know, and then they tell the children Matuaka's name is Pocahontas.
There you go.
They'll hide the history. You know. But excuse me. What I'm saying that to say this. All the scholars already know this. And they stay away from this information because it will tie you back to the land and it'll make you recognize this ain't India, we ain't Indians, and your Negro leaders are paid off COINTELPRO operatives that most of them, if you're really honest, saving babies. And stop going someplace else fighting wars. If you want to fight a war, if you want to be passive, be consistent. That's my point. Excuse me, I apologize.
That's all right. Islam. Speaking of wars, here's a question. How can a person active in the military correct their status and operate via contracts?
Well, go like this. Obama, president for the United States Service Corporation, didn't he tell you that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law?
Yes, he did. Treaty of Tripoli.
Well, isn't the Treaty of Peace and Friendship supersede the Constitution?
Yep.
Being in the military, don't they take an oath to protect the land, this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic?
That's right. True.
Didn't the Treaty of Tripoli say that the United States was not founded as a Christian
Christian president.
country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't Obama show the world the true American flag?
Yep.
So look up on your, talk to your phone, it probably talks, I think. You got one of them old flip phones you got a smartphone? Let's talk to it, say, hey phone, I just called the Dr. Naila and said, I don't see Obama with the Moorish flag, and he's showing you the true American flag. What else needs to be done? Except that we need to recognize that we're fighting against our own liberation. We don't fight with Rome, nowhere.
So,
But you make a contract with him, you don't own your body. Let's put it this way. And you know, I'm not being hard, I'm just being honest. You can't make a pact with Rome and not be compromised.
There you go.
Period.
So don't think that you gonna sign up with Rome, get some benefit, and he ain't planning on compromising you to hurt somebody else on his behalf, so you're just as dirty as he is.
Woo!
That's what they do.
Or to hurt you.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
And one more question while I have the mic. What was the Oregon area? I'm not sure if they're asking what it was prior to being called Oregon, or do you know?
Oregon is part of the Moroccan Empire. It's just a territory, that's all.
That got incorporated.
But, and keep this in mind so people don't get this twisted. When you go to California, they'll have Queen Khalifa's murals all over California. And the people look at Queen Khalifa and don't even know what they're looking at. You know, when you talk about Khalif in the Muslim world, Khalifa. It's a power position. Mexico encompasses most of Khalifa's land, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Dara. Our people need to understand what's up. Our concepts about everything, most everything, is incorrect. We got to reattach. When they're talking about Mexicans act like they're foreign, they are brothers and sisters.
There you go.
No foreign European tell you that your brothers and sisters are some alien coming across some damn border. They're Moroccans. They're Americans.
That's right.
On the islands, they're Americans.
Wow.
Belize, they're Americans. Brazil, they're Americans. Chile, they're Americans. What point you don't get this? Get your head straight and reject Rome and those who affiliate with Rome. That's why you're catching it. Keep following after Rome and then complaining and marching and praying. That's what I have to say. You want to follow after Rome, pay your taxes to Rome, which are really tithe. Be a good, stupid nigger that sells your own people out and other people around the world. Stop complaining. At that point, they ain't got no business blaming about no devils no more. And talking about Jesus come save him. Why should he come save someone who betrayed him? He came amongst his own, they received him not. They even got a Roman sitting up on the wall talking about that Jesusness. Full of shit. No, I'm not excusing it. What else?
To add on what she was saying about like contracts with the government, you're right. Like, they say that you can't do business with the government, like well, so-called government. You can't do contracts with them as an inverted business. So I looked up what an inverted business is, and I was thinking to myself, well, what if you get certified to do contracts with them?
Well, who certifies you?
Come on. I already know that though. But what I'm saying is, how can you enforce that?
No, how can you be yourself?
All right.
So, let's read this.
Because my problem is trying to find somewhere to go du jour where it's not a 501c3.
Here you are, you're at the House of Reawakening Minds, in a venue like this, and some Moorish Science Temples of America. You go to Cana, you can feel like getting your bike is kind of a little ride. You know, grease the barriers and stuff, and you ride up to Canada, go see Cujo and the family in Cana land, or you can go out Asbury Park with Grand Sheikah's Nika and Grand Sheik Nature Eel, and I can name maybe a handful of temples that I would proudly send people to. Most others I'll still send you to them, because one of the rules is send you to the temple. But you're going to have to learn. That's your foundation. You're going to have to learn. However, go with open mind. Because remember, Some people, see you come in, they're gonna try to put you to sleep.
Right.
But if you awake, you recognize it. That's the point. But understand the temple is right.
Yes.
Some of the administrators are corrupt. Problem is, too many of them are corrupt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, this is the deal. When I say you, I'm talking plural. When you get your concepts correct about what's really going on, those questions you would answer yourself. And because really, if you look at the dichotomy we're dealing with, what we keep looking, and this is what a lot of people keep asking for. How can I stand in two camps and serve two masters and get my check? That's really what they're saying. How can I kiss Rome's ass and maintain dignity? No, really, that's what they're asking.
I think what me and my friend, we have a lot of discussions, and the problem we're having is, even if people want to gravitate towards nationalizing and you know, honoring their mothers and fathers, there's so much corruption.
Yes, and it's a choice. Now, when you understand concept, see, here's the whole point. When you understand concept, you can make discernment. Right? Think like this. If you understand jurisdiction, impersonal jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction, right? And the 7 points of challenging jurisdiction. And teach it to anyone, it doesn't matter where they go. All they got to do is use their tools. If they don't have the tools, then they get caught in, well, how do you do this? You don't ask those questions. You use principles, they're called maxims. You study maxims of law, maxims of ethics, right? Constitution, which includes the treaty. That's it. And whenever you're interchanging with someone, you enforce it. Failure to do so, and you're caught in the gray area, which means you're trying to serve Rome without getting stuck. You're trying to stick your hand in the beehive and get some honey. I gotta stick my hand in the beehive and get some honey and without getting stung. Well, be ready to get stung. This is what it is. Because remember, if we wouldn't serve Rome so much through our nigger leaders, he wouldn't have the power. Right. He got it because we keep compromising. It's very simple. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And if you don't want to, guess what? There's a price to pay.
Wow.
It is. And guess what? He wants his piece of flesh. You want to be Negro? It's costly. You want to take your house, your apartments, you want to take your bank accounts, that's all his, and your babies, eat what he wants, and throw the rest to some other burger places that people eat. And so, hey, these burgers look good.
So
they're always red. In the so-called meat industry, they have what they call melt. And it's really this red gel that they throw when they grind up the aborted babies, cows, horses, rabbits. Some roadkill, not all roadkill, according to how fresh it is. That's why a lot of times the rangers don't want you, when deer and stuff get hit, they don't want you messing with them. Because they tested them. And it goes to your local, those big yellow signs and stuff. And you get 2 for $5.
The problem is, like when a friend and I speak, we're basically having a problem of, okay, well, if we nationalize and we learn about our history.
Now, hold on. You notice how people always equating nationalization with not having a job or not having a dollar? You know what Raleigh said? Said some of these ones will give up their noble names and titles for a slice of bread. I say, as long as that dichotomy exists, don't go ahead and serve Rome. That's what I say. We'll deal with those who are ready to render unto Caesar who Caesar's. Because the questioning shouldn't even be on the floor. It shouldn't. But it does exist.
I mean,
this is what I'm saying.
If you can't.
This is what I'm saying. Reject Rome. Reject Rome. Reject Rome. The estate is already yours. Is that we keep putting Rome first. So we want to serve Rome? Fine. I don't have no beef with that. Stop looking for a benefit, because it ain't going to happen. Listen. They trained Fidel Castro in Texas as a double agent to displace Batista, because the world was finding out about your Christian ministers and politicians who've been raping children in Cuba, which is Isabella, since they took over Isabella. They got their bars down there, their casinos. It's only 90 miles off the land of flowers. So all your goody-goody two-shoe evangelists, preachers, and Baptist ministers and politicians, all of them are high priests, was going there raping little girls, 10 to 11, 12 years old. They only wanted the young ones and little boys. And they come back here to talk about Jesusness. And the people give them some finance and some tithing, which means Roman tax, and lie and say it belongs to Jesus. Yeah. So they trained Castro in Texas to take over the Vatican's boy called Batista, because it was too ugly, because the world was finding this out, because there was murdering women on the street for trying to protect their little boys and girls from these Christian ministers and politicians. And military soldiers were murdering women on the street for protecting their children. They didn't want it out in the world because of the good Christian values. So anyway, they trained Castro to take Batista's place because it was getting too ugly. And so they put Castro in Isabella. He didn't go along with the program. He immediately nationalized Cuba.
Yep.
And told these Europeans, GM and all the rest of them,
Get out.
take your lock, stock, barrel, your dog, and your perverts, and your pedophiles, and your fake love Jesus hypocrites, and go to hell off our land. He didn't file no UCC-1 financial statement. He didn't authenticate no damn birth certificate. He nationalized. Anybody on the planet that wants to get cancer cured goes to Cuba. Best medical doctors in the world, Cuba. 90 miles off Florida, any kind of cancer, 95% cure rate within weeks.
21 days.
Here's an industry. This is all I got to say. Now, there's some Khazarians that was raping Germany. After the First World War, the Treaty of Versailles, Germany couldn't have a standing army. And they were raping the country, which is what they do. So one day a man, with support from some people here too, and they had some gas that they got from Newark, New Jersey, that they took over there in ships from Panama, and unmarked ships and stuff like that. And some man named Hitler nationalized Germany. He didn't file no UCC financial statement or authenticate no birth certificate. He says, "What's your nationality?" We Jews. Oh, good. Go home to Jewland. Wherever your mom is, go home. You're getting off my mom's titty. Yeah, but we. But we. Solve that problem. Oh, you can't do that to my boy. Solve that problem. Oh, the rest of y'all. Are you Russian? No problem. Your sovereignty is in Russia. Go home. We got to get our land together, our motherland together. Oh, you're Belize? Go ahead. Oh, you're from the Falkland Islands? Go ahead, if they'll let you off them ships, fakers. Go to Cuba, if they'll let you off them ships, fakers.
Chile couldn't do it.
You say, frog feet? logs, balloons, rafts, backstroke, the party's over, you ain't got to go home, but you're leaving here. And those who didn't, they invited them to nice barbecue parties with gas that came from Newark, New Jersey, with 98% of all aircraft engines for the Third Reich was made right in North America. Hitler was a front. He wasn't it. He was a front.
Austria, Germany.
A few administrations earlier, there was a guy, one of the biggest families of the pedophile rings and drug trades from them same people. This shit ain't never ended. A brother from Venezuela came to the United Nations, and he came up on the podium and he says, I smell sulfur. Them demons with the hedge funds were starting to rape the people of Venezuela and stealing the oil and the sugar. So Chavez nationalized Venezuela. They got him later with CIA operations and injecting him with a cancer ray. However, he stood for truth. 1913, Nagi set up Old Canaanite Temple for the restoration of the estate of the Moors, heirs of the world's largest estate. Commanded the Queen of England to honor her obligation to the treaties and all conventions, etc. And he nationalized us, and here we are, 2018, still debating things that our people don't get yet. They keep trying to serve two masters, which is why we keep catching hell. My point is, if people aren't ready to be themselves, this is not the venue. They want to serve Rome, you got no problem with it. Go kiss his ass. Just don't come here with the stinky breath. Do you understand what I'm serious?
For most people,
My issue is this. How many can we save now? Because it's just that tight right now. We don't have time to play with hypocrites anymore. This man is liquidating people's estates. They trying to throw people on the street. And like Drawley said, a beggar people cannot develop the highest spirituality, and we must stop the bleeding.
Wow.
We must carry out the mission of the great prophet Noble Drawley, who said, help me in my great missionary work to bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government, enforcing our Constitution for the United States of America, because it came from Muslim law, just as Obama told you. So it ain't a secret. Are we clear?
clear. Listen, all this information are foreign to most of us. So now that we get it, how do we apply it to others that is outside of this?
It applies to everybody.
Okay, because
if
I hadn't thrown into R.B. Bey or Moorish directory, then this information would never be here. Many people outside here, outside this, don't know about the information.
They do.
And then
Can I say this to you? Can I say this to you? You know why? When I'm instructing, a lot of times I'll go to documents, congressional records, and documentation. Now I went to the Horace Greeley issue. That's part of status writing, and part of it is my own research. I cannot emphasize enough, this idea that people don't know this information just because they don't talk it is amazing that people are so damn naive. We are naive. If there's anything I desire, is to slay naivety.
Islam.
The reason I bring you to these things is to let you know, everybody know, you know, it's sort of like, here's Europeans kicking us in both asses. And we keep saying, we need to have a meeting to see whether the pain in my ass is from getting kicked in the ass. No, this is what we do. We need to make him understand that he knows who you are. Everybody on this planet, except these people here, know North America's Morocco. Just like that French Muslim, when Malcolm went over there with that white and black stuff, French Muslim said, to you, Maghreb is evening salat. Maghreb is Morocco, the most extreme west. You left home, brother. A lot of Europeans know more Islam than you'll ever know. Our job here is to clean us up. But you know how you do it? Stop thinking people don't know this information just because they ain't talking. Why do you think Marcus Garvey spent his life teaching these people government again? Because he knows they don't know fundamental government. Then Noble Ali came and taught them nationality. We had all the preparation in the world and we still sitting around talking about beliefs. Passive. Problem, they don't know how dangerous it is. They're getting ready to get eliminated. You know, like when now you have an old car you like, and you keep dumping, financing it because you like the car, and you polish it, and why you keep fixing that old car? All right, I like the car. And after a while it becomes a money pit.
Islam.
Or it's sort of like the old donkey, the old horse. You love that horse, the old that donkey, but he can't plow. Eats a lot, and he's cantankerous, and he bites the children. You love him, but you put him down. You know, the old dog. Love the dog, everybody played him. He got old, cranky, now he's biting the babies. You love him, put him down. Same thing with the Negro problem. Meaning that we have to look at it like this. We have to give this to people who want it, people who are willing to do something with it now. We're at a stage in the cycle of the energies, because everything's energy. We're not just talking about the politics, we're talking about the actual energy. We're in an Aquarian, Uranus, Saturn energy that's disallowing this BS to continue, and we're still playing around. Do you understand? If we don't do anything, nature's going to do it. What we're trying to do is get these people to see what's up, because I think people are looking at us and not looking at what's behind us. They can't see, and I understand I'm not knocking them. I'm just appealing the best I can to whatever goodness or spirit is left in them before they get eliminated. They're going to get eliminated. I'm serious. And everyone knows this. We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
Especially for Central America.
Let me say this to you.
Central Amexem don't know.
You know what she's going to get on her phone? A bunch of trolls paid off with one of the 6-point budgets of the CIA that follow everything we say to try to dismiss this information. Why are they so worried about us? Why don't they go out there on the hedges and highways and do the work? Drawley said there's more than enough work for everyone to do.
Yes, it is.
Why are they busy trying to suppress this information? Because it not only exposes Rome, it exposes them who work for Rome. Because once you understand the rules of the game, you know, once we show you the deck is marked, you don't have to still say, how come every time I go down last day, I can't come back with that Corvette? Because it's rigged. At what point you don't get it? Save bus fare. Better yet, don't damn go. Find something to do. You know, say this to you. Let me say this to you. Because we only got a couple minutes, we gotta go. There are two crowns, this is back to the crowns. There are two crowns that come to mind when natural people of the land take into consideration their forced peonage suffered, which we're talking about right now, under the intersocial affairs invoked by colonialism. The most poignant issues involved the social, economic, and political problems that have and do now plague and hinder the human family in these days. Many of the torch wars and social, economic, and political abuses and suppressions of note are presently the norm among Aboriginal people suffering the negative and injurious effects of European colonization in the Western Hemisphere and across the planet. One of the crowns of concern has been the Queen of England. So we're talking about the Vatican, we talk about the Middle Star. And this is where everybody always looks, right?
All right, take out.
So when when you see them gentrifying communities and them law firms be sending people those 192s, those so-called fake foreclosures, they're coming from the crown. Not from some court, not from some legitimate court. The most poignant issues involving socioeconomic, political problems that have and do now plague and hinder the human family these days, many towards wars, and socioeconomic and political abuses and suppressions of note are presently the norm among Aboriginal people suffering the negative and injurious effects of European colonial or colonization in the Western Hemisphere and across the planet. One of the crowns of concern has been the Queen of England and the arbitrary practices related to the popes of Rome, the Inquisition, and the unum sanctum church bull policy enforcements, etc. Because this is what all scholars know that's happening, that the nigger leaders and some sheiks and other people who claim to love Prophet Noble sitting around talking about racism. That's a design of diversion to keep you away from what's happening to you. This is what's happening to you. It ain't racism. You ain't poor because they don't like the color of your skin. It's unum sanctum.
Islam.
And it's run by the Crown Church, the Circle Church, in Westminster, London. And the Circle Church is your banksters and your lawyers. That's why in your Zodiac Constitution registered in the Library of Congress, it says when you hire a lawyer, an attorney, you give them your birthright.
That's right. And jurisdiction.
They're your enemies. And everybody knows it. Go look up Investigation into the Bar Association 1952 House Committee Report. And I'll tell you who they are. Anyway, so the post-Roman Inquisition, unum sanctum church bull, enforcement, etc. The other crown let's discuss is the Crown Temple and its past and present membership and operations. Truth needs no apology. The feudal laws, governmental and judicial systems operating within the jurisdiction of the United States, which are artificial person abstracts and private corporate entities functioning at both the federal and at the local and state levels. These corporate and legacy entity constructs having British Crown colony origins are now owned by the Crown, which is a private and foreign power. Before jumping to conclusions about the Queen of England or about the royal families of Britain owning the USA corporate entity, know that this is a different crown. And this order is fully exposed and explained below. We are specifically referencing the established Templar Church, known for centuries by the world as the Crown, quote unquote. From this point on, we will also refer to the Crown as the Crown Temple or the Crown Templar, and that when one hears about or references any of these forms, it's known that all three are synonymous. So you got to understand these things so that you don't get twisted, because they'll change names and then you think that history has changed. The same game is played. A Templar is a member of the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed religious and military order that is also called Knights Templars, Knights of the Temple, and Poor Soldiers of the Temple. The order was founded around 1118 and organized on the land at Jerusalem, an ancient city at Canaan. Canaan is also known as Palestine, and the area of Jerusalem, Palestine, has since 1948 been politically designated as a part of the contemporary body politic and political state now called Israel. The Temple Church. First, we will note and take account of a little historical background. The Temple Church was built by the Knights Templar in two parts, the round and the chancel. The round church was consecrated in 1185 and was modeled after the circular church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is located in Jerusalem. The chancel was built in 1240. The Temple Church serves both the inner and middle temples, see below, and is located between Fleet Street and Victoria Embankment at the Thames River. Its grounds also house the Crown offices at Crown Office Road. This Temple Church is outside any canonical jurisdiction jurisdiction. The master of the temple church is appointed and takes his place by sealed non-public patent without induction or institution. Attorneys. All licensed bar attorneys are really attorners who are doing business and operating at North America and under the United States jurisdiction. These attorneys owe their allegiance to and give their solemn oaths to pledge to the Crown Temple, quote unquote. Their fidelity to the Crown is the established fact and stands as the binding rule, whether the bar members admit it or not, or whether realizing the oath-bound obligatory fact or not. This fundamental truth is simply due to the fact that all bar associations throughout the world are signatories and franchises to the International Bar Association, which is located at the Inns of Court at Crown Temple. The Crown Temple itself is physically located at Chancery Lane behind Fleet Street in London, England. Although the bar members may vehemently deny it, because they're lying asses, not wanting the public to know, all bar associations in the United States, such as the American Bar Association, the Florida Bar, and the California Bar, ETC as examples, have direct ties. These, without exceptions, as with the other bar associations, are franchises to the Crown. It's on your flash drive, you can finish reading this. Anyway, I want to thank you all for coming out here to the House of Whiggamore Party. Thank you for feeding us. That's not a week. I know that food ain't week. Persevering through economic hardships, through loss of finance, to stand for the truth.